On this episode of Ask the Experts, we are talking about budgeting apps. In particular, we're going to do a review of YNAB for 2021. And with us, we have Colleen Mitchell. She's the host of This Is Type 1 podcast. Hi, Colleen.
Hi.
Nice to see you today.
Nice to see you too.
So tell me, what is This Is Type 1 podcast?
So This Is Type 1 is a podcast about type 1 diabetes, which I have had for over 25 years. And on it, we talk about basically what is real life with type 1. There aren't that many type 1 diabetes podcasts out there. And so we're just adding our voice to the mix to kind of get some more exposure for type 1 and to help educate some people about what the difference between type 1 and type 2 is.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think I know. I don't know the difference. Do you want to take a moment and tell me?
Sure. So type 1 means that your pancreas does not produce insulin. And so you are entirely dependent upon external insulin. And type 2 means that your pancreas does produce it, but the body has a really hard time actually using it for what its intended purpose is.
Got it. So type 2 is something that usually is something that's self-inflicted.
Not necessarily.
No?
It can be a combination of genetics and what you eat, but there are really skinny type 2 diabetics and there are really fat people who don't have type 2 at all.
Wow. I had no idea.
Such a complex disease.
And you also are a life coach and an author?
Yeah, I have a life coaching practice. I'm writing a novel right now, and I also have a full-time job. So I have all sorts of stuff going on.
Oh. Wow, that's incredible. I guess through this, through the pandemic and all of that, this is the way you stay busy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. I mean, I'm sort of in the very same boat. Actually, in March of this year. So you may not know this, but I live in Italy, and in March of this year, my freedom was taken away. And so what was the first thing I did? I said, you know what? I've always wanted to get on YouTube. I always wanted to do YouTube videos, but I always found an excuse not to do it. There was always an excuse. I don't know what it was, but it was always an excuse. And so that's what I did. I started with a travel blog, and then with this, the Financially Independent Millennial. And gosh, I think I'm about 150 videos in, all thanks to the pandemic.
You started a travel blog when you were locked down in Italy and couldn't travel?
Oh, I started a video travel blog using all of the old videos from the past.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, I've had a travel blog for a while, but it was just more of a journal because my friends and family on Facebook were getting tired of seeing, where I was going next. So what I figured was I'd create this travel blog. So if anybody was Googling about any particular place, then they would be able to get tips on what to see and do and that sort of thing. So let's talk about YNAB. This is the budget. No, this is the budget app called You Need a Budget. I think it's normally,
that's right.
I think, is it You Need a Budget or is it YNAB? Because I always said YNAB, but some people say You Need a Budget.
So I think it's officially YNAB, and it stands for You Need a Budget.
Right. So tell me, why did you or when did you start using it?
So let me back up a little bit to college when I used Mint, which was I used the free version of Mint because up until that point, I hadn't done any budgeting at all. And I knew I needed to get a handle on my finances in college. And when I used Mint, I found that it didn't really let me see where my money was going, like what I was spending money on, if I had enough money for future months. And I just got so fed up with it. And for a long time, I had been hearing about YNAB. And so I decided to give it a try because they offer like a 34-day free trial so that you can really test it out and see how it works so you can go from a full month into the next month and just have a little bit of time to see how it works when you go month to month. And I found that it was like night and day. I was able to categorize all of my expenses. I was able to plan for future months. And it also gives this really cool metric called age of money. So it tells you how long has your money been sitting in your accounts before you spend it. And their metric is if you're over 30 days on that, you're not living paycheck to paycheck. So it it's a really visual way of tracking your money. And I just think it makes it so easy. But when I got into that, that was about 4.5 years ago that I started using YNAB, and I have not looked back.
So you used YNAB in 2017, and now it's 2021, and you're still using it.
Yeah.
That's I mean, that's a good testament, I guess, for the app. Now, has it changed a lot since you started using it?
Well, when I started using it, they had, I think, just launched or had launched for a little bit their online version, so their web app. Before that, it was an older version of YNAB that was a desktop app, and you had to do a little bit more work to get it set up. So I've always ever been on the web version. And since I've been on there, they've been making updates constantly, and they keep continuing to improve the product and make it even more visually appealing. So they have dark mode now. And before they didn't have dark mode,
right?
And dark mode is kind of a big deal now.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. All of the, well, certainly on mobile, dark mode isn't, yeah, absolutely. Now, speaking of which, does YNAB work on mobile?
Yeah, they do have a mobile app, and there is dark mode on the mobile app.
Right.
It's a little bit less feature heavy on the mobile app, which is to be expected because it's mobile. But you can pretty much do almost everything on the app as you can on the web version.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody were brand new today watching this video, and they were thinking, you know what, I need a budget, I need to get a hold of my money or handle on my money and all of that. How long does it take to get used to, the web application at the very least of YNAB? How long does it take?
Well, I'm kind of biased because I like technology, and so I'm a fast learner. If this is like your first ever introduction to the envelope system of budgeting, it might take maybe a couple of weeks just to kind of get into the flow of it. Mm-hmm. And it also depends on what your cycle for paychecks is. So if you have like a monthly paycheck, it might take a little bit longer to figure it out. But if you have like a weekly or a biweekly paycheck, then you can kind of get a feel for how the money comes in. But the other thing is you can create basically a dummy budget, and you can pretend that you're getting all sorts of money coming in, and you can use it that way to learn how to use it without money actually coming in. So you can set up a dummy budget. You can pretend you just got $1 million, and you can decide what you want to do with it, and like which categories do you want to fund, and maybe how many months out could you fund yourself if you actually had like $1 million.
Right. Okay. Well, it's interesting. And speaking of which, does it track your investments as well?
It does. So I have my 401k connected. I have just another investment account connected, and their connections for the investment accounts are a little bit different. So it might not pull in all of the investments that you make. So once a month, I will go in and just reconcile what the difference is between what I have in YNAB and what it actually says on my account. And then that pulls in as kind of a manual adjustment, but it still gets you visibility into what your investments are.
Yep. Well, I mean, it sounds pretty straightforward. And does it connect with your checking accounts and credit cards and all of that?
Yeah, it connects with pretty much everything, and it will occasionally have some hiccups where you have to reconnect it, but that's just kind of on the bank side because they like having all their authorization stuff. But if you ever have any problems with connections, YNAB is really good about fixing them and helping you on their support site.
Get through it. So walk me through this. So once I have my checking account connected with YNAB, so does it download all of the transactions, all the deposits, the withdrawals?
So when you first connect, your account to YNAB, it'll start with basically your starting balance. And then so after the starting balance, it'll start to import all of your transactions once they post to the account. So like this morning when I went in to do my stuff in YNAB, it has a little notification that this account has transactions to import. And then you can just go to that account and click import, and it will basically just download all of your transactions. And sometimes it will auto categorize them for you if it knows what it's done before. And that's really cool.
Interesting. So you use YNAB every single day?
It's more on a weekly basis, but I will just sometimes go in to see if something's posted and then I can import it. I am obsessed with YNAB. I could spend hours inside of this thing, and I probably have.
You could almost probably start a podcast about teaching people how to use YNAB.
Oh, I don't know if I have enough material to do that.
Maybe a call-in show. That's interesting. So who do you think YNAB would be best suited for? Let's say age range or demographic. I mean, would it be better for kids, better for adults? I mean, do they have a kids section? I mean,
I don't think they have a kids section, but it's really good for people who like the envelope system. If you do the cash like envelope system without like being online, it's a really good digital version of that. And it lets you move the money between the envelopes so easily.
So you have like an envelope for food or one for rent.
So I have, you put in different sections. So I have a section for immediate obligations, and that'll include my rent, my internet costs, electricity, car insurance. And then you can have a true expenses category. So that's more for the things that you know you will be spending money on it in the future. So it's kind of a place to month by month save up a little bit. So if you have a big expense at the end of the year, or like Christmas presents, that would be a good section for the Christmas presents category. Because if you save up just a little bit every month, then you don't have to worry about a $600 credit card bill in December from buying presents.
Well, that's actually great advice. That's great advice because so I don't use YNAB. I use a spreadsheet for large purchases. And actually, we did a video of this on how we save for big trips. Actually, I'll put it up here so that people can take a look at it. But essentially, what it is we just take whatever we think the cost of the trip is going to be, and we divide it by the number of months there are between today and the trip. Now, today we're not really traveling, so that's kind of out the window. But it's what we've done, until now. And
that's a feature called goals in
goals.
YNAB.
Yes.
So it'll do it all for you. And if you don't have that category funded enough that month, it'll turn yellow, and so it'll tell you which things need attention.
So if you don't want to use a spreadsheet, this app will tell you or nag you mm-hmm. that you need to make this deposit. Well, it sounds like YNAB is actually quite a good product. What are the costs for using YNAB?
So when I signed up, it was $50 a year. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if they've increased the price. I think I saw something about them increasing the price, but I was grandfathered in because I've been such a long time customer of them. But I do know that, so I do have a referral link that if you sign up for the trial and then you actually sign up for the subscription, we both get a free month. Really? And that by itself is really awesome.
Tell you what, we're going to go ahead and take that referral link and we're going to put it in the description below. By the way, for all of you guys who are listening, do you guys have a budget? Does anybody actually out there in internet land other than Colleen and myself use a budget to get through our or at least organize our monthly expenses? Maybe give me a like and let me know who's there. You don't have to write a comment or anything. Just give me a little like and let me know what's going on. If you knew someone that was having difficulty with money and you had an inclination that they were not very good with budgeting, how would you convince them to use this application?
First I would probably tell them you need a budget.
Mm-hmm.
And that by itself is the name of the product. I would probably tell them about the 4 rules that YNAB lists on their website about dealing with money. The first one is to give every dollar a job. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know where your money is going, then you are probably always going to have problems with money. And if you give every dollar a job, that just means putting it in its own category, then you get to have control over where your money is going.
It's great advice.
Their second rule is to embrace your true expenses. And that one is what we were just talking about earlier, where if you're going to be saving up for Christmas presents, or maybe you're going to need a new laptop, or maybe you even need a new car, that's where you get to figure out how much you need to spend or save every month so that you can handle that expense when it gets there.
Right.
And
there's no surprise.
So my favorite example of the true expense fund is Ramit Sethi's stupid shit fund. So if you have some money set aside for parking tickets, or you get into a fender bender, that fund is what's going to take care of it, because we all have stupid shit that comes.
It makes me laugh because, years ago I had one, I called it hookers and blow.
Oh, that's great.
Just, eventually I had to change it to NRC, non-recurring transaction, but, yeah.
That's
Anyway,
a little bit more professional.
charge. Yeah, it was a little bit more. Anyway.
The third rule that YNAB has is to roll with the punches. So you might have months where you overspend on groceries and then you need to take some money from somewhere else. And YNAB really makes it easy to just take money from another category and put it where you need it. And what happens usually for me is I will be putting our leftover money at the end of the month into some savings categories. And if we have some overspending somewhere, then it just comes right out of the savings category. So I don't really have to worry about overspending and having to take money from future months because it's already in my budget.
That's great. So how much would you say, how many months do you think that folks should have in their emergency fund?
I think you should have 6 months of living expenses, which is different from 6 months of income.
So needs.
Yeah, things
Food,
that you
rent,
spend money on every month, like rent, your car, like gas bill, and also include your true expenses in that. So the things that you are saving up for, like you might have renter's insurance that recurs every year. You will still need to keep that in your true expenses. You will need to keep it in your emergency fund because that's something that you will have to spend on
later on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's fair. Great.
And then the last rule that they have is, there's one more. It's to age your money. And when starting out, that goal is to be at 30 days. And that just means you're a month ahead on your expenses. And so you're not month to month. And I think the highest that I've gotten my age of money is 189 days.
Wow. So,
yeah.
Right. So, I mean, if you have 6 months of income saved up, I could see that you getting to that point. I mean, that is an incredible achievement. Certainly not something that took 6 months to get to. I mean, it obviously took a while, but you sleep well at night, I'm sure.
I do.
Yeah, not worried about these things. I bet I can see it. I know that for myself, in March and April, I always kept about 3 months of expenses, of living expenses. And, through March and April and May, no, that doubled. That was it. And I'm perfectly happy keeping it right where it is. I think that I really hope that the pandemic is like a once in a lifetime event, but in case it's not, we'll be prepared for it if it happened again. Great. So any other thoughts about YNAB, just in closing?
They have a 34-day free trial. If you're on the fence about it, just try it for that long. And if you don't like it, you don't have to sign up to continue with them.
Right.
It's awesome though. I love it.
And through your referral link, does that offer people a bit of a discount for getting started?
I don't think there's a discount. I think it's just you get a free month if you sign up through the link.
So the other ones, so the people who sign up will get an additional free month, or they get the 34 days?
So you get the 34 days to try it. And then if you decide to buy a subscription to it, then you get a free month, and then I get a free month too.
Oh, well, then that's great. So that's a pretty nice discount then.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, Colleen, this has been a lot of fun. I will definitely put a link for your referral link for YNAB in the description. And I look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Take care.